TOI: Climate must become a poll agenda. Latest IPCC report is another big warning to India's political leaders. Proxy Matthew Cole. The latest report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change (IPCC) cautions that humans and natural ecosystems are now pushed beyond their adaptation limits due to climate change. India is highly vulnerable and will need a transformational climate action that cuts across sectors and regions to reduce substantial economic losses and damage to lives and biodiversity. A transformational climate action will require political will and administrative implementation at all levels, from panchayats to state and national levels. We would need a collective effort involving citizens, institutions, and infrastructure redesign to reduce the risk from extreme weather events like flooding, cyclones, sea level rise, heat waves, and droughts. The IPCC report says that vulnerability and inability to adapt are more in regions where unsustainable ocean and land use, inequity, and marginalization are large. It says that up to 3.6 billion people living in the context are threatened. This is true for most of South Asia, surrounded by rapidly changing seas and mountains. Immediate, integrated, and transformational climate action. While we cannot eliminate the multiple risks that global warming presents to ecosystems and humans, the report explicitly throws a ray of hope at us. Immediate action that limit global warming to 1.5 degrees would substantially reduce losses and damages related to climate change that would otherwise be distressed at higher warming levels. The current report gives clear indication of what we lack with adaptation and how we can advance towards reducing multiple climate risks. First, many adaptation measures are quick fixes and therefore reduce long-term benefits. We need transformational adaptation to reduce the root causes of vulnerability by shifting systems away from unsustainable trajectories. Second, adaptation requires working across sectors and regions at different levels. Integrated, multi-sectoral solutions that address climate risk, considering social inequities, increase the effectiveness of adaptation. Pushing the limits of adaptation. In many cases, soft limits of human adaptation have been reached due to lack of financial support or adaptation measures. For example, coastal villages of India under imminent threats due to cyclonic storm surges, flooding, coastal erosion, and depletion fisheries are those communities with low income. Hence, the ability to relocate depend on the political and financial support of the local government. In these cases, risk can be reduced by addressing financial, governance, and policy constraints for human adaptation. For ecosystems, hard limits to adaptation have reached, where any foreseeable measures in the future will not help. For example, many species, including humans and food crops like rice and wheat, have thermal limits to survival. Increased heatwave, droughts, and floods are already exceeding the tolerance thresholds of lands and animals, driving mass mortalities in trees and corals. They have exposed millions of people to acute food and water insecurity, especially in Africa, Asia, Central and South America, on small islands and the Arctic. Restoring degraded ecosystem and conserving 30 to 50% of the land, freshwater and ocean habitats can help achieve sustainable future, but that requires adequate finance and political support. Political commitment. The IPCC writes in detail about the requirement for political commitment and mobilization of adequate financial resources. Climate change is still not a critical factor determining the electoral outcome in India. However, India hosts the largest population that is under threat on daily basis to rising cyclones, floods, rising sea levels, heat waves and droughts. It is high time that climate change changes its top priority on electoral charts. India needs climate change aware administrators and policymakers at the panchayat, district, state and national levels. Though climate change is global, the impact and adaptation measures are local. For example, impacts of climate change are aggravated during floods and landslide due to way we manage our hills, forests and rivers. States might need to strengthen and implement their land use policy. Political administrative will is a must if India is working towards sustained adaptation. Collective action. Tackling the different challenges due to climate change require collective action. Governments, private sectors and communities should work together to prioritize risk reduction. Local citizens can work with panchayat, schools and colleges, engineers and scientists to assess the risk and monitor weather events. Starting climate action at school is a good option. By equipping each school with rain gauge and temperature humidity sensor, the cost will be between Rs 1000 to 7000 per school. If we can install solar panels and rainwater harvesting and recharging in these institutions, that will be the next step towards climate action and mitigation and will ensure energy and water security too. The writer is a climate scientist at the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology and a lead author, contributor and reviewer of recent IPCC report. Thank you.